progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to romasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. Mr. Ray, what's up, beast?
Life is good, Wes. Life is good. Working, trying to be healthy, trying to be a better man, succeeding sometimes. How about you?
Good, man. I'm just about wrapping up the energy book. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also simultaneously listening to the audiobook called Relentless. Have you listened to that yet?
No.
I would highly beg that we read that next.
Okay.
Jordan, what's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
What up, Jordan?
You
savage.
What's going on?
You just back from the back trails, doing like wheelies and ollies on your mountain bike?
Actually, I'm just getting back from trying to feel better from COVID.
Oh no! What's up, Dima?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Dima?
So I wanted to get everybody, get a couple of you guys up on here, get an update on your goals if you're going through any challenges, but then also, like I said, I'm just finishing up the book on energy that we've been talking about. And then I wanted to recommend it to the group or ask the group if you guys would be down for reading Relentless. It is the book from Michael Jordan's trainer and Kobe Bryant's trainer and Dwayne Wade and Charles Barkley, etc. If you guys are down for it, I'd recommend we move that to the front of the list. I'm now listening to it for the fifth or fourth time, one or the other. So,
and why does this book stimulate you so much?
It's like my anthem.
Does it pump you up?
Oh, dude! And not only that, but it makes me feel comfortable in my own skin. So it's all about competition, and this guy runs his business like Michael Jordan ran his career, sort of a thing. So I think all of us could use that mindset. I think it's going to turn a certain amount of people off, but I do think that's okay. Yeah, I think for men who are going after something, this book is an absolute must. I have a client, I told him about the book, and then he read it and gave it to his entire 120-person staff, and it was mandatory for them to read it. So if you guys are down for it, okay, let's do it.
Hell yeah, what a psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he's on the path for sure.
No, I make my staff read the Quran, and if they don't read it, they can get the hell out.
So let's get some updates from you guys. So Jordan, what are some updates, brother?
Okay.
Well, I just posted on Discord last night, but yesterday marks 4 years of keeping my 100 pounds off and
wow,
moving forward with everything.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing. Marks 4 years of what?
Keeping my 100 pounds I lost off.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I posted some pictures and it's so crazy to see the difference in my physique and my body and shit. It's just it's a trip.
That's wild.
But besides that, I've just been I started the book that I can't even think of the name right now. I'm super foggy this week after having COVID and shit. But started the book. I started getting a bunch of content kind of on this one hard drive for myself. Started updating my YouTube page. I want to start getting some content out there and start doing some stuff. So I'm kind of in the process of getting things ready, and I'm trying to learn this software, Director Pro or something, just to piece together easy clips and stuff. I'm not looking to be an expert at video editing. I just want to make sure I can get some content out soon, so I can actually start working on some stuff. But that's kind of the update for me right now.
Hell yeah.
Work got pretty busy for me, so I've been kind of stuck doing some work stuff a lot of days. But I'm just trying to grind and get the YouTube stuff going and get some other content out there and decide how I want to present myself.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Can I throw something over the fence to you? If you have a chance, can you email me or text me your origin story? Literally spend 20 minutes on it, whatever number you will tolerate. That's a no-brainer today. 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Obviously, the more time you spend on it, I think the better it'll be. However, I spend 10 to 30 minutes on it, somewhere in that category, and write down your origin story. And going through that process can be, in my opinion, incredibly therapeutic and also uplifting, because you get to see where you came from. But write it as if I was writing it for you, if that makes sense. Because I do think when people try to write it themselves, that like humility kind of gets in the way, if that makes sense. So they remove a lot of the substance. So
write it in the third person.
Well, yes, you can totally do that. I would not necessarily recommend that, but you could totally do it. But it's writing it as if like a brother were writing it for you. So that way you don't say, oh, well, I'm not going to say that because, that would seem like I'm taking too much pride in myself, or that's I'm bragging or something like that. So write it as if a brother was writing it for you, someone who cared for you.
Yeah. Something that my assistant Charlotte and I mean, she's more like my colleague, but something we worked on yesterday was brand development, right? And it's like, take your dream clients, make them the hero in this epic story you're writing. What are their strengths? What are their challenges? Who's the villain? And the goal is for them to buy art from my gallery. Mm-hmm. And so I'm Merlin or something that helps them like with my spells to fight the dragon and stuff. And just that when you talk about origin story, Wes, like that was like, I'm like, whoa, I just did that. And I found that so powerful for my business. So I'm also going to take 10, 30 minutes to do my own origin story, because like part of my Merlin character in that story of like getting the art collector hero through the hero's journey, past the spouse who doesn't like the art, past all their bills, past their busy schedule, past the price tag of the art, how I helped them get to slay the dragon and get the treasure was through I can't remember, but like anyway, so I'm going to take the time today to write Merlin's origin story.
Yep.
Which is my origin story. And I really enjoy that. Like, I really enjoyed the format of you having to write like a fairy tale with a hero and a villain and like a hero's quest, because and Jordan and Wes, I don't mean to like sabotage your exercise, but like I think what I'm gonna do is write it in the format of a hero's quest. Mm-hmm. This is my noble birth. These are the challenges I confronted. These are the mistakes, the like naive mistakes I made along the way.
Oh, sorry, cut out, Ray. These are the naive mistakes I made along the way. Then what's next?
And this is where I am now. Like, I mean, and so Wes, would you recommend I write out the happy ending already, or should I just write up to where I am now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so when I have the best and most respected gallery in the country, when I'm a happily married family man who has health and makes time for his kids and his community and his church.
Yeah. Well, writing out those two parallel stories, because Ray, you're spot on. I'm curious where you got all that from. Was that your own idea, or did you read that from a book? Because this goes deeper into marketing, and a lot of marketers will do exactly what you're saying. So you write out the origin story of Yoda, right? And then you basically write the hero's journey of. I've never seen Star Wars. I don't know if I should say that out loud.
So my client, I guess, would be Luke Skywalker, and I'm like coaching Luke through his cosmic journey.
Yeah. So the end, I would write out your end as well as the client's end, because when it comes to sales and marketing, what you really want to try to sell to them for their best interest is the last, like the vacation at the end of it, because how hard it is in the middle. So you don't want them getting hung up on that for their own good, So that's what Jordan will do. He will help coach them through all of that. And so when they hit those roadblocks, he says, hey, this is normal. Here's how I got through it. But you always want them focused on the end destination. So the way that I've heard it explained is like, if you're an airline, you don't want to sell the long lines the obstacles, the going through the TSA. Oh, you got to take your shoes off. Oh, you got
The
to
messy
go back
bathroom and the messy tiny bathroom
Right.
on the plane.
You sell Hawaii. Like we get you to Hawaii. Hawaii is possible. That sort of thing.
Yeah. And and they talked about that in that. So like, Charlotte just graduated from business school. And so it was in the marketing and brand creation course. Right. And it was like, what is like, once Yoda gets Luke Skywalker to slay the dragon and get the treasure, what does Luke Skywalker, the client, feel? And so I said, like, the client feels happy that they're looking at a piece of art they love. They feel happy talking about the art when everyone comes to their home. They have vanquished the haters who said it wasn't good art, you know? So like, so I'm pumped about that. And then the format for your goals, Wes, remember, is like, I will be debt free by the end of next year. And then writing, now that it's 2024, I feel so happy that I'm debt free for some month, right? So that's why I thought of like projecting the happy ending. So writing my origin story to today, and then writing the happy ending as if it has already happened.
Yeah, and this gets down to the vibration book, the energy book that we've been reading. It's like, if you live as if you've already achieved those things, then you give off a certain amount of energy, right? Rather than like you lack those things. The other thing that I would add, Ray, and to all of us here, and I know Dima and I have had discussions about him potentially going into maybe starting his own business, or at least advancing more into like entrepreneurship inside of his own industry and company, would be that, Ray, yes, all of those things are true. And the way that I have found the most optimal way of communicating that is if you already have clients who represent those future clients.
Oh, absolutely.
So for instance, like, oh, here's a guy who, you know, who had less resources than you, who was also scared that his wife wasn't going to like the painting, who was also nervous because it was his first paint, whatever, right? And now here he is in this big, beautiful palace, and he's got that painting right there, and it gives him the most euphoric feelings every single, like that sort of thing. And if you give him 20 stories of that, it's like, oh, okay, because I might not be as good as Yoda, right? But this guy, I'm just as good as him, if not maybe a little bit better. If he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, like it's a big tent.
Oh yeah.
Right. Create like, and I already have those dream clients. Like, and I just want 1,000 of them. Do
you have any formal testimonials?
No, I don't have any formal testimonials, like a happy Yelp review or something. Yep. Have you asked your clients for those?
So we can't legally in ours.
Okay.
But so it'd be SEC regulation. If we could, that would be the first thing, the first action that I would do, hands down. Get high resolution photos and verbatim testimonials, and if you can, even better, videos. And you like the more the better.
I know. I mean, I know. My stomach turns at just asking, but like my stomach also turns just asking for a referral. So, and I feel like I'm hogging all of your attention as usual, Wes. So I want to turn the gun on Jordan. Jordan, so tell us your origin story. Just like tell us what you're like the bullet points of like what you would write. You know, maybe in your origin story, I don't know, like, are you the hero in the origin story?
So the origin story is, yes, you're giving your own version of the hero's journey.
Okay, so Jordan, tell us the hero's journey version of your origin story.
So that's where I was getting kind of hung up, is like, where does that start? Like, where does that start for me? You know, I mean, I know approximately, like, it started my whole life. Like, I've been overweight like most of my life. So like, I've definitely had struggles of losing weight, like in the past, where it never stuck. So like, do I start on those first couple of tries where it's like, I tried this, they never worked. I understand the weight.
Absolutely, dude. And you didn't give up. Yeah, and you didn't give up.
Okay. So
I would actually go a little bit before that.
Right.
So in this way, like sit in a room.
Origin.
Exactly. So I guarantee, and you'll likely cry from it. So you find those pain points. Usually when I've worked with men who've lost a bunch of weight, or we help them lose weight, it's usually there's some super deep rooted pain. And I could tell you there was, for me, in my origin story in finance and everything, I won't bore you with it, but like like go back. It probably has to do with childhood. A handful of things happened where you didn't feel good enough. You weren't self-worthy enough, something like that, because of your appearance to the external world. And then actually tell those stories. Right now, the way you communicate those inside of an efficient origin story is you do what's called Barnuming. So you quickly, like a Barnum and Bailey circus, like, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It's going through quickly and covering a large surface area. So it would be something like, I remember those days when I was made fun of at school when I couldn't fit in the seat, or when, I couldn't, like I had to take my shirt off at the community pool, whatever that is. Going through those. Why? Because that's relating to the prior you. Like people who are in the prior you, if that makes sense, like they want to lose the weight, they need to know your story because they're like, holy shit, that was me, right? And then you'll have a straw that broke the camel's back story. And then finally, the thing that like pushed me over the edge was when I asked this girl out and she laughed at me or something like that. And that's when I decided, like, that's it, right? And then, okay, so that was my call, right? It's like, I know I'm a better man. That was my call to action. I went out and I stumbled and I failed. And I did that stumble and failing for 4 years, whatever that is, right? And then I finally did some more research and I bought some coaching. I did all this stuff and I tried again, and boom, here I am 4 years later, and I'm here to share my story and help you through that journey. Something like that.
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
Okay, interesting. I haven't thought about that.
And sorry, dude, it's super hard again for the audio.
Oh, is it better now?
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot. Yeah, better.
All right. Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about my origin story that deeply yet, and that's that's a lot to think about. But that's a good point. Like, I mean, I definitely was in a spot that a lot of people are in back then, and obviously a much different spot now. A lot of my story, like, definitely had to do with not feeling adequate. Like, I've daddy issues, just like a lot of people do. He was not a good person to me. So, and I mean, when your only male, person in your life is not a good person to you, it definitely is harder to like move forward, and it definitely makes you feel stuck. And then, I just never really thought that I needed to do much. I found other personalities. Like, I found personality in like partying. I didn't need to be skinny because I was a partier. I started drinking at 13 and getting drunk with my friends, and I found out, oh man, I can do cool stuff when I'm drunk and act like an idiot. People think it's funny, and so I can make this my personality. So that's just what it was for a long time, and never thought I needed any fixing. And then friends and stuff would go do like athletic type things, and I find myself trying to run for like a little bit, and I'm just like, oh shit, I can't do this. So then I turned to making fun of people who did athletic things. Like, oh, what a douchebag who wants to go run for, a couple of miles. Like, so I started just like really hating on like everything. Anything I couldn't do became something that I didn't want to do. I was so closed off to everything. I was like, fuck that. Like, why would I want to go, run? Why would I want to go wake up early in the morning and run 26 miles? That sounds stupid. Like, why would I want to do any of these things? And I was like, really just like putting myself in such a small circle of whatever I could do, because I was telling myself I couldn't or didn't want to do all these things out there. Like, I just refused to even entertain the idea. And even when I like would try to lose weight, it was always those stupid MLM companies like Advocare and was this other one. I tried like 3 of them. And, I lose like 30 pounds in their like little 30-day trial or whatever. And then like, of course that stuff is expensive, and I'm not a rich person. So I was like, oh, well, I did the 30 days. Well, let's see if I can just keep it off without continuing their products, and can't, or I didn't. And so, I went back and forth, teeter-tottering this weight, and then I'd get upset with myself after gaining that weight back from the, MLM product. And then I would gain more weight. And so I was just on this steady climb for years until And the one thing I need to think about real hard, I know mountain biking was a big piece of it, but one thing I don't know for sure is like what exactly that catalyst was that got me to stick to it. Like, I don't know exactly what that was yet, because something did happen where, I mean, obviously I decided to not fuck around anymore. I mean, I stopped playing games with myself and just stuck to what I knew I needed to do and really found my way to it. And I don't know what that was exactly. Like I said, I put a lot of emphasis on mountain biking being one of the things, because it was something that brought me a lot of joy. I was going fast where I've never been fast before. Like, so going fast on a mountain bike, I was like, holy cow, this is so cool. Like, what a unique experience. Like, people do this all the time. They get to go fast. I'm a slow person, so going fast on my own accord was awesome. So yeah, I think that's a big piece I need to find out, is what it was that got me to stick to it and like stop going back. Cause like, I was actually doing some journaling the other day on this, because obviously with 4 years under my belt of not gaining the weight back, it did kind of confuse me, because I was like, man, I always went right back to it. Like within 2 months of, losing weight, I was just right back to where I was and then gaining more. So, yeah, I definitely need to expand on my journaling and figure out what that was, because I'm kind of struggling to come up with what it was that clicked finally.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not struggling, bud. You gave us everything. You gave us everything right there.
Yeah, dude, that like literally all
awesome.
in there. I'll give you a couple pieces of my own opinion there. One of the things that you want to do along that way is then you start to refine it and package it. So for instance, everybody who's gone through losing weight and anything challenging, you go through, and you could even call it this, like in your marketing, if you want to, like you go through like a vortex type of thing where you just feel like you're in this like hurricane and you're trying stuff, and then it works for a while, then it doesn't work, and then you're sucked back into the vortex, like going through that. And one of your goals could be, as the leader in that journey, is like, hey, we reduce that vortex where yes, you will go through challenging times, but I want to try my best to make sure your journey is a fraction of the time that mine was. Because I spent years going to, like, for instance, you don't have to go to all this MLM stuff. You don't have to do all those supplements. I don't do any of that. Finally, when I like got on the right path, I didn't do any of that. So I can save you thousands of dollars a year, blah, 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 et cetera. Also, the straw that broke the camel's back sort of thing, it may have just been for you the last puzzle piece, right? It might not have to be this huge thing, but it's like eventually I found this one thing that I was missing that was the connective tissue for everything that gave me the momentum. It was the last spoke of the wheel that allowed me to drive forward. I don't know for sure, but I would definitely say, like, go in a room, an inspirational setting or something, sit there for a half hour and just think back, right? Because there's also a chance that you just forgot. Like my origin story, my straw that broke the camel's back happened when I was 5 years old. I didn't remember it all until I actually went to a course for it. And then it's like super emotional. I was like, holy shit, that's why I do literally everything in my career now. As crazy as that sounds. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
So, and that's the story I tell at literally every single presentation I give. And I do that first to everyone. And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to go through the whole thing, probably a little less than that. And then the amount of people that come up and sign up to have a session with me after because of that, because they relate to something. Oh, I was a caddy too. Or, oh, I had my dad left too. Or, oh my gosh, that was inspirational. Oh, you're doing this for your mom. Like all of that stuff. I could say the same exact things in the presentation, but in the absence of that origin story, I promise I would probably get less than 70% of the signups that we get because it's the emotional connection first.
Got it. Yeah,
and that's what you're building with yourself, probably, right? When you write this origin story, you're building an emotional connection with yourself. And Jordan, just when you were talking, I started writing down mine, and it's like I started thinking about working backwards, right? And then so the origin story is I'm one of 5 kids, chaotic household. More chaos than white privilege is just something that came to mind, right? Because yes, my dad was a doctor, but we were in a nice neighborhood, but he had long bouts of depression, long bouts of unemployment, long bouts of alcoholism. Bills went unpaid, like the lights would be shut off because the power bill would go unpaid, right? And then, so what did I want to do? I wanted to be a lawyer. Why? So that I could say I'm a lawyer and just like communicate like sanity, wealth, everything, the opposite of that chaos, right? But like you, that chaos origin story was imprinted on me, right? So I that was my normal. So I started partying, not paying my bills, not taking my career seriously, right? Because that was like, that was your story is my story as well, right? And what happened to you is, and so like, I quit drinking, I quit drugging in the pandemic. I got fired from every other job before that too. But only now have I started my own business, living sober, living healthy, like really going for it, right? And so like I'm finally growing up and being a man, and that's what came to mind when you talked about your the end of your story. There's like you don't know what triggered it, but like what got you out of that vortex, as Wes says. But like you decided to grow up and be a man, right? And like what I said about me is like I had to stop leaving it up to other people to fix things, you know, and like fix it and be the fixer of my own life. And then, you know, in little ways, through a leadership role of lives around me. Like, and so like so you've decided to finally grow up, be a man. You're not leaving it up to other people to fix your health, for example, or your weight issue. You've done it. And now now you have the opportunity to help others.
Yep.
And change those others' lives, right? And so yeah. So you just telling your origin story really helped me, man.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hell yeah, brother. So Jordan, let us know if you need any help with that, but I think you're on a path, dude. And I'm pumped to hear that you're starting your YouTube channel. I'm going along a similar journey, so it'd be cool to connect on that.
Yeah, sure.
Dima, what's going on, brother? What updates? You're back from where did you just go recently? If you're to visit your family?
Turkey, Istanbul.
Hell yeah, cool.
Istanbul.
So it's back to the game, man. So what's going on in your life? What are the goals? What are the obstacles?
All right. So I put a few keywords here, what I'm focusing on right now. And that's, you know, the most important things for me. And I always prioritize that. So first is family, then work, then reading and health. So I put it in this order because what I want to have is really big and happy family. Right. So I imagine myself like having kids, you know, having a house and just living a happy life. Right. For that, I need to work and I need to not just work hard, but smart as well. And it's actually, Wes, I took your advice and now I'm literally looking for master classes, courses on the subject. And yesterday, so there's a guy on in my industry, I'm following him, and he recently threw the masterclass, like 2 days masterclass. And yes, another masterclass like a month ago, and it helps a lot. So to be good at work, I need to read, right? Leaders are readers. So, and also I noticed one thing that I like to read, but I like science fiction, right? That's my like favorite genre. I still read and self-development too. And but I noticed that I don't read much about just like marketing, like digital like stuff. And so I shifted my attention to like reading more about the subject, and I found really good books about that. And also, so next keyword is health. Another thing, what I recently noticed, I'm really big fan of breakfast, right? And I eat like I can eat a lot, and a lot of carbs, a lot of after I eat a lot, and then also like I have like coffee and like some like cookies and stuff, and then I noticed that after that I feel lazy, right? And my productivity is really low. So now I'm trying to I still like breakfast, but instead of like eating these like carbs and cookies and other stuff, I consume like healthy fats. Like I eat like avocado toast and like coffee, and I leave myself a little bit hungry. So like it works better. You more concentrated on your work and stuff. So that's kind of like main things I like concentrated on right now. There's a lot for each of it, and yeah.
Do you mind if I comment on a few of those?
Sure.
Okay, so one thing, and then Kaizen asked a great question. We'll get to that in a second if that's okay. So the first thing I would say, if you were my brother, is the lead domino that I'm feeling for you, if you don't mind me saying it, just as a partner in crime here, is don't confuse secondary assets with primary assets. So like a lot of clients, so I work in the finance industry, wealth management space, and I can tell you that your primary asset will always give you many multiples more return than your secondary assets. So for instance, I'll give you an example, like you working in your career and becoming a thought leader and an expert. And I mean that sincerely. Like that is where you will increase your income from, I'm not saying this is your income, but let's say it's $100,000. If you become in the best in your industry, like for example, what do you think the best person in your industry, what do you think he or she makes?
Well, like, so there's a few like things. Well, it depends. Like, if we're talking about digital marketing again, so it's like
So you're kind of cutting out the internet. I think your internet's cutting out. Your internet's cutting out a little bit, but I will cut to the chase for you. I would think millions of dollars. I would, in the digital marketing space, probably the top guy in that space for the year, or the top woman in that for the year, is making millions of dollars. So all you have to do, in my opinion, is focus on that. There is no, outside of winning the lottery, right, and getting super lucky with some sort of obscure asset that happened to multiply, like those are Hail Marys, lightning striking sort of probabilities. Secondary assets are not going to produce the types of returns for you that your primary asset will. And if I could share one message with the world, especially with men, it's that so many men get distracted by, I'll kind of do mediocre at my job. I'll just do whatever I can not to get fired. But then I'm going to go over here and invest in crypto, bro, because it's going to make me a multi-trillionaire, right? Or I'm going to become part-time Donald Trump over here with this with this flipping real estate game. Dude, I've seen so many men go into financial ruin, or even worse, financial mediocre purgatory forever in that way. They stay making $80,000, whatever that number is, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 a year. I'm not saying that that's not good. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you have so much more potential in your primary asset where you're actually producing the most value to society versus the secondary assets. Does that make sense? So it's like, what I would recommend to so many men out there is like, hey, stop trying to do a part-time gig over here. That's not really your passion. Right now, it's different if you're working your primary gig, let's say in digital marketing, and then you go and create a side business in digital marketing. Hell yeah, that's awesome, because those are both in your primary asset category. But working in digital marketing as a W-2 employee and then going over here and trying to, like I said, flip real estate, right? Like you're now taking too many units of time away from your primary asset. So I would highly recommend to most people, it's like work on your primary asset, invest steadily in your secondary assets through your 401k or through investing, whatever, just like in basic fundamental stuff. Right, like mutual funds, index funds, ETFs, it's that kind of stuff, but like nothing fancy. And then all of a sudden over here, because you've increased your primary assets so much, eventually your secondary assets will reach critical mass and they'll take care of themselves. But that's what I would say, man. Like everything you freaking can to devour the content and then to create value with that content. I think that's the second thing that a lot of people miss. You can read books forever, which is awesome. That is a prerequisite in my opinion. But then it's like not just consuming, it has to be a relationship between your consumption and your creation. So, and I'm not teaching you anything you don't already know, but in case that helps any of the guys on the team as well.
Yeah, no, that helps a lot. And actually, that's what I changed after, like, we talked a few months ago, right? Because before I was like trying to be.
You guys can't hear him either, can you?
No, but I'll
shoot.
just riff on what you said, Wes. Is that like
And sorry,
I love
Dima,
that-
the internet's like super choppy to the point where you're frozen. We can't hear a thing you're saying. I'm sorry, bro.
Well, Wes, why don't you tell us what the conversation you had with him a couple months ago? What's he referring to?
Yeah. So as long I'll share at the high level, so because I want to protect his
Of course.
his information. But met with him and his fiance, and we just talked about literally this. Like, hey, how can both of you guys step up in that area? Where are you passionate about, and where can you serve the community the most? And then once you decide that, is like get to the top of the hierarchy. And if you don't want to get to the top of the hierarchy, then you might want to examine whether or not you actually want to play that game. Like my coach tells me, don't play any games you're not want to play for 25 years. Just like, don't do it. And that helps so much.
Go ahead, Dima. Go ahead, Dima.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? But now I have different challenge. And I switched to Wi-Fi, so let me know if it's still,
cool.
Cut it off. So now I have different challenge, right? So right now I have same industry, but I have a full-time job and I have my business, right? And a month or two ago, I decided, well, I have this advantage working 2 times from the office a week and then 3 days from home. So I decided, okay, whenever I'm in the office, I'm going to work 12 hours, right? And I'm going to like fully in my full-time job. But when I'm going to work from home, I'm going to spend like a few hours working on my full-time job and then the rest of the time working on my business, right? And I thought that would give me more time working on my business and I would be more productive. But actually, it didn't good that such a good thing that because even though I had more time to work on my business, but I was not like, I was not doing 100%. And then at some point, like a few weeks ago, I decided like, hey, all right, so I have this full-time job and actually I really like it because I took it a half year ago and actually I double my income. I grow a lot like in my position, but I decided to work harder. Like, even when I work from home, I decided, okay, I'm just going to do the best. Like, I'm not going to concentrate on my business because like, I wasn't happy with my results, like doing this like side business, even though it's same industry. Right. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to work, do my best at like work. And so right now I work hard from the office, like same like 12 hours. And when I work from home, I kind of, I do a lot too. I have a little bit less time on, my business, but whenever I work on my business, I do my best. And that leads me to that quote we guys always repeat, how you do anything, you do everything, right? And that's what I noticed, that if I do like not the best at my full-time job, am I right? So, and that's what kind of like, I was curious about your opinion, guys, as well. Like how you deal with this type of stuff.
So it was a little choppy. Can you summarize that question in like 1 or 2 sentences? So that way I make sure I can orient myself towards the answer.
Okay. So how you do anything, you do everything, right?
Yep.
If, and I have 2, like full-time job and I have my side business, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm not doing my best at my full-time job, I'm not going to be able to do my best at my side job, because I guess that's the way how you work. So my question is like how you deal with, how you diversify your time between your full-time job and your side job. How you prioritize things.
Oh yeah. So a couple quotes come to mind. The first thing is, a couple ideas come to mind. The first idea is I wouldn't get that granular on critiquing myself. So I'd said, like, in the beginning, it's like, what are the baseline metrics that you can meet that make the game very winnable? So for instance, oftentimes for most men, including myself, it's just showing up, right? It's like, I'm going to show up. I don't know what I'm going to do in this 2-hour space or this 5-hour space or this 10 or 12-hour space, but that's my goal, is to show up, and then I'll figure it out within that space. I probably wouldn't judge myself relative to my full-time job, because there's a lot of things that when you start your own business, you have to go through for the first time. So I would probably reduce my expectations of timeline in my own business, if that makes sense. Because, dude, from my experience, I'm telling, like, personally, and from a lot of clients that I've seen, it takes 10 times longer than you think it's going to take. It costs 10 times more than you think it's going to cost. It's 10 times harder getting clients than you thought it was going to be. Like, funny little thing. Most people think in business, they're like, oh yeah, like, I'll just do this and I'll go get some clients. It's like, and then they start saying the next sentence. It's like, wait a second. The thing you just glossed over as like being an insignificant detail is probably the most significant detail. Right? Like, getting clients, as Ray knows, like, it is not an easy process. It requires years of like gaining the skill set, you know? So,
and Wes, it's not getting, it's not getting relationships, right? It's building relationships.
Yep.
Right. And in the word building implies like a process that involves heavy lifting and labor.
Yep. Yeah. Now here's the other quote. I completely agree with Ray. So the first thing is, I was reduce my expectations and not judge myself so harshly, so quickly. And weird, in a paradoxical way, still having higher expectations than anybody else could have of me. So it's like that very fine line. But then the other thing is, it reminds me of a Jim Rohn quote. The Jim Rohn quote was, work harder on yourself than you do at your job. So I would say, work harder on your business than you do at your W-2 employment, that you do it like your paid gig. Now, still work hard at both. But I think what can oftentimes happen with side gig situations is the side gig, like I said, you're going into unknown territory, so it can become very difficult. So there can almost be a reflexive, like, well, I'm not going to work on my own projects right now. I'm just going to get to work on these work projects back here because I know how to win the game. I see this happen all the time. Or I'm not going to work on the side business at all. So I would say, like, have those clear compartments of time. Okay, I'm working on my business from this time to this time every Friday or whatever it is. And no exceptions. That's what your ass is working on. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't jump to your employment, projects. You can't jump to doing something recreational for fun. It's like, that's what you're doing right there, if that makes sense. And I know he just disconnected, but just to complete the thought. So anything you guys would add, or any questions or comments or
Wes, I just want to say, man, this is like such extremely valuable business coach advice. Like,
oh, thanks, dude.
Life coach and business coach advice. Like, well, I mean, yeah, we just like, right? Jordan, he just kind of like goes seamlessly from life coach to business coach. And we can talk like, if we talked about building a dinner party menu, he just goes seamlessly into that. You know what I mean? Or,
well, Ray, I appreciate the compliment, but honestly, pal, like we always say, it's a circle, not a triangle. Yeah. I'm literally just sharing, dude. I would be embarrassed if I couldn't talk through some of this stuff, because I've literally paid easily over $150,000 in coaching. Like, so if I couldn't riff for 2 minutes on one of these topics, I would be upset with myself. But I appreciate the compliment. But really, the compliment goes to my coaches.
And Wes, also, like, I think that you said, like, teaching people is a way we learn or something, right? So you are obviously benefiting by you are doing reinforcement on these core principles by sharing them with us.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have failed at these things. I'm not kidding. I failed at each of those concepts easily dozens of times, like literally. So then eventually you got dissected, like, okay, that's why I failed. And that's a lesson that I'll always remember. So Dima, did you get everything from there? I know you kind of disconnected, but any gaps there for you?
Yeah. Sorry about my internet. Actually, after last time, I just increased the speed for internet, but like it still like sucks here.
Yeah, no sweat, man. It's that Belarus internet, bro.
It's Cosmonet.
But yeah, it all makes sense, because I really like that thing when you said that set a time for your business, because that's kind of like I'm struggling with. I feel like, okay, on like this and this day, I need to work on my business, but I don't have dedicated time for it. And I think I'm just going to create a like, time in my calendar so that it's going to be time just like for my business. So
yeah. And let me throw this last piece at you. Here's the challenge. And it's one thing to say that we want something. In my opinion, saying you want something it's not useless. It's just it's a prerequisite step, but it's a small step. What really tells me if you truly desire something is the decisions along the way. So for instance, if you and I were to sit down for a couple hours and we concluded, and you concluded especially, building a family is the most important thing. And we go through and we create vision boards, and we get like super, super high resolution on what that means. Like you visualize the house, you have the big backyard, you got the 3 kids running around, Laura's happy. Hell yeah, man. Like that thing right there, that vision board right there. And then it's like, when you go to work on that piece of the goal during that 2-hour period, do you do it? And if you don't, then in my opinion, that's one vote that you have in the category of you don't really desire that thing, right? You desire the cookie right now more than the family. And that's a hard discussion to have with the team and with yourself, but that's what it is. Because a lot of goals that we're going after, the only reason they're worth it is because they're huge. And it's like, you can't win that in one day. So it's micro win after micro win after micro win. But the prerequisite to micro wins are micro decisions. And this is where it like drives me crazy. Like when we go into like adult world and man world, where we're saying we're hunting for things, and then somebody will say, oh yeah, I'm trying to lose 100 pounds. And then they laugh off that they just ate a donut. It's like, it's not fucking funny. Do you know what I mean? Like
Wes like smacks the donut out the guy's mouth.
That's infuriating.
No, but and Wes, I don't think there's anything wrong. Like if somebody doesn't spend that hour and somebody does that vote against that thing, like that might also be part of a refinement process where they're like, you know what? I actually don't want this. I actually don't want rock hard abs. I actually don't want bulging quads because of what it'll take to get there. My goal is actually just to look fit and trim in a suit. You know what I mean? Or like in terms if Dima wanted to become a mountain climber, if Mountain Climber was on there and he just couldn't, like, you know what I mean? Like and just time after time, his behavior revealed to himself that he didn't actually want that. That helps him refine the goals.
Oh, without a doubt. Like there's no reason you can't say, oh shit, this journey is 10x harder than I thought. It's no longer worth it. Like that, totally respect that. It's just the incongruence of, hey, I really want to build this out. That's why, honestly, I think we should only be working on goals that are level 10 serious for us. And if they are, then you bring that level of emotion. And if you can collapse the timeline to like repercussions would happen right now. So like, I won't get as gruesome on this, but just imagine it's like, okay, great. You're not going to work on your business. Then let's remove one of those children from the list, right? Because you can't afford them, right? Or remove the house from the list, remove the family from the list, remove the wife from the list because she's not going to stay. Like that's what I do for myself. I'm not saying it's healthy. I'm not necessarily recommending to anybody else, but I try my best to bring that level of emotion to the thing, right? So, and especially for like, dude, I know a bit of your background. I know where you came from, and I know that America is not your native country. Obviously, it's like you have such an opportunity here, like we all do. And a lot of us Americans, we take it for granted. And it's like we have to remind ourselves and bring that emotion to the current thing that we're doing. And it's not fucking funny when you eat a donut and you're trying to lose 100 pounds, right? Like if losing 100 pounds means like the next big thing for you, if it's that important to you. And if it's not, then yeah, laugh about it.
Well, and then Wes, there's those other things that like that it's not okay to laugh about. Like if somebody needs to lose 100 pounds and they're eating that donut, then it's like they really, I don't think they should be given they shouldn't be giving themselves the option of looking for another goal.
Oh, I'm using this as a real example. I just sat with a man not too long ago, and he like poured his heart out to me how he needs to lose not 100 pounds, but probably about 50 pounds. And his motivation was his dad died when he was 55. And it's like, and then 3 days later, he puts a picture up like somewhere, he sends it to me like on my text, and like a handful of donuts, and he's LOL, and it's like, not LOL. That is not funny to me, and it shouldn't be funny to you. And the fact that it is, I
hope you laid into him. I hope you were savage,
totally
Wes.
Yeah. No, absolutely did. And it's only
Hands
to fight
down
for
spanking.
him. I could care less if he eats a donut or like.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I mean, I have the same challenge when I have the same challenge if my wife and I don't have the same health goals, and she's not as disciplined with food. And everyone has a different relationship with food, like I'm lucky that I can be Spartan. I've found a way to be Spartan about it right now. But it's the same thing where it's like I have trouble having compassion for her when she just makes like exception after exception.
Yeah.
Or excuse after excuse.
No, I totally get it. And that's where it gets down to, like, is it a level 10 serious goal, or is it like just a nice to have, like, because Oprah said so, like all that stuff. You know what I mean? So that's where you get into nuance. That's what I was saying. If we sat with Dima for a couple hours and it's like, is this the real level 10 stuff? And it's like, okay, then you treat that stuff like you're going to war, in my opinion. So Dima, thank you for sharing all that stuff, bro. And then Kaizen asked if Jordan can comment perhaps on Dima's change in diet, just to get his take on the nutrition side of Dima's what he said earlier
with the breakfast business.
So in other words, is moving from cookies to avocado toast, is that a good transition?
And this is what we call a softball question in the business.
So can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah. It's a tiny bit choppy. We're gonna have to buy the dudes. The dude's new internet. Yeah. Go ahead,
buddy. So I guess as it relates to diet, like, I mean, I found that like diet it's not for everyone. There's no one like set diet for everyone that's going to work. Like I tried a lot of like the stuff that's supposed to be good for you and like, supposed to work. And like lately I've actually been finding out like even just like bread, I don't really eat bread anymore. Like I used to not, because I was on keto, but bread, like when I try to go running after like eating like a sandwich or something, if there's bread in it, like it just like it forms a rock in my stomach. So like I've pretty much like cut bread out because it just doesn't work for me anymore. Now some people can eat bread and be fine and they feel great. My main carb source is now I just eat oatmeal if I'm going to have like carbs. So I do oatmeal with a scoop of protein powder, scoop of peanut butter, and put a little honey on it or something, because that's like the healthiest carb I think I can get. That doesn't make me feel like complete garbage afterwards. So with nutrition, it took a lot of trial and error. But I mean, really, it's just for me, the biggest thing I do is I just think about, is it healthy for me? Like, is this something that is going to make my body feel good? Now, do I still eat candy? Like, I love Reese's peanut butter cups. Those were like my biggest thing back in the day. So now I still treat myself. But nutrition I was always so hyper focused on it. And now I'm not as much. It's just I eat what makes me feel good. Like, and as long as it is healthy and fits into my, I try to get like 2,400 calories a day or less. Unless I know I'm going to be working out more. I basically just try to keep myself in a calorie deficit as well, which is, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing that changed for me is just keeping myself in a deficit. If I'm working out more than I'm putting in food, then I'm fine. If I eat 6,000 calories in a day, but I burn 10,000 of those on a 40-mile mountain bike ride, then fine. That's okay. Like I negated all that food. And so I guess it became super simple for me. I just eat what makes me feel good, and I make sure it's not garbage. I make sure it's something that's a real food. I like to eat. I eat a lot of meat. The only vegetables I really mess around with are like avocados, if that's a vegetable. I'm not very good at vegetables and fruits and stuff, but I actually don't eat that many veggies. I stick to a lot of meat and fruit. And a lot of that's also come from like following some more like carnivore people on Instagram and Twitter. And like, I feel the best on high meat and like fruit diets, honestly. So like, that's kind of where I'm at personally. And I know that doesn't work for everyone. Like some people just don't like meat. I think they're crazy, but like, they just don't like meat or, whatever. Some people want to be vegan, and that's fine. Vegan didn't work for me. I tried it for like a month and I just felt like garbage. So it's just, I hate to be so simple about it, but for me, I just found the foods that work for me personally, and I make sure that they're real foods and they make me feel good. And that's kind of what I stick to now. And it's pretty simple we all kind of know what's healthy and what's not. But we just eat whatever we want sometimes, but it just becoming very, conscious about what I'm eating and making sure it's a good fuel source for me. And like I said, I just recently found out that bread just doesn't work. Like I try to go on a run after a sandwich one day, and you guys remember those rock tumblers to shine up your rocks or whatever?
Yeah.
I felt like I was shining some rocks in my stomach after eating bread. And I was like, oh, this just is not going to work for me anymore.
Yeah. No, hell yeah.
So,
I can completely relate to that. And I remember seeing this little picture on, I don't know if it was Instagram or whatever, but it went through all these diets, and it was like, carnivore works if you're at a caloric deficit, right? Like, veganism works if you're at a caloric deficit. High protein works if you're at a caloric deficit, like for losing weight. Right? So it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of interchangeable things. What matters the most in terms of body composition and fat, et cetera, is like, are you burning more energy than you're consuming? As simple as that sounds. And I also want to let the dudes know, nobody be confused about this. Dima's a beast. Like I've met him in person, right? Like this is not an out of shape human being. He is we're talking about shades of improvement, right? Like he's not going from zero, which by the way, Dima, before I forget, I'm heading over to MMA tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. if you want to join. It's the intro class. It's awesome. So just know you always have an open invitation to come with me. So 10 a.m. tomorrow, and I might even do like the noon class too. So yeah. So dudes, I want to thank you guys so much. Any other questions or anything from you guys or last minute comments?
I'm good.
Yeah, just like last comment on Dan, I really like what Jordan's saying, and that's what I do. Whenever I eat anything, I think about how I feel after. And obviously next time I feel, do I want to feel like shit like after I'm going to eat it? And that helps. So yeah, thanks for, just great tips and like wording everything. Yeah,
hell yeah. And Gunther said he's feeding off your energy. Hell yeah, man. Keep going, bros. Phil G, and yeah, we'll have you on the hot seat Monday if you're available, or Friday if you're available. So let's do it. You guys have an awesome weekend. Love you guys. Have a great day.
Appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
Later, dudes.
Bye.